they always want to label you. Like, you this category, you like this, you make this kind of work, so your work is like labeled as this.
What labels have people put on you? This is fun.
Like
Chicano artist.
Yeah, no.
Visionary, abstract Chicano artist. Do you identify as Chicano?
No, I don't take that. I mean,
you were born in Mexico.
I was born in Mexico, right? There
different.
it is. But at the same time, it's also like Cheech Marin has my works and the Cheech collection of Chicano art. So it's like,
I would take that though. Cheech, you can make me a Chicano even though I'm definitely not.
But it's I always find it really interesting. Also, like with the whole Latinx thing, you know, it's.
I mean, you do it. I've done it. I've criticized that whole concept. It's a white people concept. Welcome to What's My Thesis. I'm your host, Javier Proenza. Every week, my guests and I share the answers we found to the questions we have. Join us as we explore and expand our worldview and ask what's my thesis. And today, my guest is Emmanuel Galvez, who, because his name starts with an E, when he texts me, I think it's my mom because her name is Emma. So it's and I, like, you send me a thing and I was like, why is my mom sending me a picture of this door? And I realized it was like so that I could find the location today.
Exactly.
Well, we have a fun relationship because like I was saying when I first got here that like we've accidentally become gallery buddies because we show up at the same places and we're always happy to see each other. So
yeah.
And you always introduce me to someone. You're always there with somebody that's very funny and cool. So how you been, man?
I've been good. I just as always, I always try to keep myself busy.
Yeah.
Give myself like, I don't know how I feel like now I have the energy to like today, like I went to a baby shower, I'm going to do this and I'm going to have to go to a Thanksgiving friend, you know? So it's like,
yeah.
I feel like I have the energy now. So like, I always like to feel like I have to always have something in my schedule.
Yeah.
And I always felt like I'm not a homebody. I feel like I'm always like the outside part. Like I have to be outside.
Yeah. Extroverted.
Yeah.
Is that, yeah, I mean that's about what it sounds like. Yeah, I'm like you. I forget to, I become a homebody just because I'm lazy about like scheduling things. Then I go through periods where I'm like, hey guys, I need air because I go a little insane after the isolation.
Yeah.
Especially after COVID. You know, like the breaking out of the cycle of like spending a lot of time by yourself, I think is something that I'm just really now getting out of. But cool, man. So I know you. Do you want to plug the space? I mean, I know it's your job, but
yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I feel like right now we're located in Mid City. It's between Exposition and La Brea. The space where we are is called Finer Stretcher Bars, and I've been working with Sid and Juan Capristan for like 10 years. You know? And during the COVID, I've been working more often here.
Yeah.
And they're, you know, I think once they really, like, we have sort of become a family. And once I finished with school at UCLA, they're like, hey, I asked them if I can paint here, you know, just like, I'm like, just give me a wall and I can just work. So slowly, honestly, I feel like I'm taking over the whole space.
Yeah.
As you can see, like, I feel like I just constantly have new ideas. Constantly, I'm changing sort of like the subject to a new subject.
Yeah.
So and now, honestly, I feel like we just like it is like a small family that we have in here, and we all kind of.
Do you consider yourself an art handler? Is that your job title? What do you do? Because you build canvases and stretchers, and then you take them, you deliver them to people sometimes.
Yeah,
things like that, right?
I think we're fabricators.
You're fabricators.
Yeah.
Okay.
So primarily we work for painters, but that's sort of like how, a lot of the times painters, galleries, a lot of the times when we have art fairs, you know, they contact us, hey, like stretches these paintings, and we do the job. You know? Yeah. And then for painters, it's more like they want panels, stretcher bars, they want you know, the different type of surfaces, you know, if they want like fancy linens or they want like super smooth or they want just raw, you know, and we do everything for you, you know. So
that's pretty dope.
So and we're also a custom shop. So
Cool, man. And then when you were at UCLA, you were they allowed you to like keep your job, which was pretty sweet of them too.
Yeah, honestly, like the two jobs that I feel like I'm really lucky is that I have this job, which is working, and also work at a nonprofit. I work with a youth from K to 12, and I've been with them since I was in seventh grade, and I also have always come back because it's a community that when I came to the U.S., that's Westlake MacArthur Park. So that was my early community when I came to the U.S. And I always feel like comfortable always going back, and especially Ola has an art program, and obviously I'm an artist, so it's like I always like to come back to the community and give back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think that we were talking that Raul Balthazar is also part of. That's how you know him, right?
Yeah.
I just had him on the show. I always like to kind of expand the What's My Thesis universe.
Yeah, I mean, goals here. We went to school together at UCLA.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. And we saw each other. The last show that we saw each other was at Inlu Gallery checking out his stuff. Was just, well, I mean, if we're gonna drop names, then I think the person that introduced me to you was Alex. I can't leave him out, bro.
Yeah, no. I mean, Alex is. I mean, we were in the same. We were in a show together.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's how I met all of you guys.
2 years.
You guys have so integrated into my life that I forget how I met you all in one go. Yeah.
And then that's because the whole show. What I like about that show that was cool was that like you invite someone else and the other person.
Yeah.
So I invited Gozi and Gozi invited this other friend, Richard.
He's
a ceramics.
I haven't seen him since that show. He's the only part of the Daisy Chain that I haven't talked to in a while.
Yeah, I saw him maybe like 2 weeks ago, but I'll definitely, bring
for
him,
sure.
take him along.
Yeah. It's always nice to see people that you haven't seen. And then you did OPAF, which was cool. Like, it's always nice to see that community get more people in there.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I didn't want to do it at first because I just been in this sort of like art mode of just like I like to go out and like support friends and see shows and keep up with everything that's going on. But at the same time, I do like to just like literally close the door and work in the studio.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, like things that I'm working on, like this work behind us is like it's still working in progress. It's not done. And then this other work that I have at the other corner is like it's still going.
Yeah, but
so,
I mean, to be fair, you also, I see you everywhere I go. It's not like you stay at home.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're definitely like in the scene too, for sure.
No, yeah. I mean, I feel like.
Yes. I feel like you're there when I'm not there. Like the days I don't go, that you're already there, and I could just be like, "Hey, how was the show?"
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how, I mean, I'm very lucky that a lot of the friends that I know, they're having, their shows. And
I think it's also crazy that two friends from one friend group got into UCLA. Like, that's wild, because I mean, how many painters get in the year that you were in the MFA, right?
No, I was at the undergrad.
Oh, undergrad.
Yeah.
Has Gozia done his undergrad?
Yeah, that's where we met.
Okay. I'm sorry. I thought you guys were MFAs.
No.
The undergrad program is like is a little bit more accepting, but it's still pretty hard to get into.
Yeah.
How many painters were? Because I met some painters from UCLA recently, and that went to grad school there, and they were saying that there were like 2 painters.
Yeah. No, I mean their program is like very competitive. And...
Oh wait, actually, Luz. Was she doing the undergrad?
Yeah, she's
undergrad. Oh, okay.
No. Her MFA.
Her MFA. Okay, cool. Yeah, because she had gone to New York.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah, I know. I guess also part of it. I think why I think like trying to be Cozy and myself our work it's serious is because we also went to Santa Monica and we have really good professors. So by the time we went to UCLA, like our work was like, I feel like our work stands out. It's a solid work, and we still. I mean, I admire him that he's also constantly, pushing himself.
No, he's grinding.
And same myself, So I feel a lot of time people confuse us that we're like, oh, you guys finished your MFA, but like, no, we still.
No, definitely. I mean, it's interesting how good of a program it is to go to. Or how much it helps your career to do something, to get into a program like that and get that validation, for sure. Yeah. It's like, because it is such a small group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But so, how do you feel like? I've definitely noticed. I mean, I have friends that have gone to like places like Yale, and they seem to be doing all right. I mean, but I don't know. I feel like UCLA, you guys seem to be on a track because he did Gauzier did the Skawigan, which is like not easy to get into either.
No,
You
no.
know, so like it seems like you guys are on a good trajectory. How do you? Is it exciting? But like that's not to say. I mean, as far as I know, Alex has told me that you've been painting for like ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Maybe even before college?
yeah. I
Okay.
mean, um, like my story is that when having Ola as a student, and then through Ola, I met this professor, artist named Dan McCleary,
Hmm.
and he's a LA painter. He has also a studio in MacArthur Park, and I became really close friends with him. And I feel like, I sort of like I was sort of like the when you do like a back in the days when you wanted to study with somebody and you
Hmm.
like study with them,
Yeah.
you do like internship,
Yeah, yeah, like apprenticeships. Yeah,
apprenticeship,
yeah,
something.
like Da Vinci times. We're
Yeah,
talking like
exactly. So I
Renaissance.
felt like, I mean, a lot of times when you look at their history, it's sort of like that. A lot of times, like if you look at, trying to think of like Raphael, he had to study with under different names in order for him to sort of like,
Yeah, yeah.
So I felt like I had that in a way with Dan because he really showed me a lot of like how to paint. He's also a very established artist. So by the time I was 20, I was approached by a gallery to show my work.
Hmm.
And obviously at the time, I was naive, not naive, and naive in a good way of not knowing so much of the art world.
Yeah, yeah.
Just like, sure, let's do it.
Not being jaded yet.
Yeah. So I was just like, I'm like, why not? Let's just make this body of work. And the first series that I made, it was Pan Dulce.
Hmm.
I did other works, but the gallery at that time was interested. Um,
Wait, sorry. Pan Dulce is what, the gallery or
sorry, the series that I made
was Pan Dulce?
was Pan Dulce,
Okay.
and Kirkrow galleries were interested in showing the work. And at that time, what was really interesting because Dan created this other program which is called Art Division,
Hmm.
and we sort of like were like this other person, Javier, Maria, we were like the early students of that program.
I
And
know which one is my favorite out of those three.
and so, and the Crow wanted it to do an exhibition of us, about the
Hmm.
program, and obviously support us of the weekend from there. So, and honestly, that show really like took off.
That's crazy.
Like
When I thought, just I didn't
the
realize Ola was like your launching pad.
oh yeah, no,
That's
like that.
awesome.
And then like through that, I connected to Dan because then
That's huge,
he
though.
started his
I
own
mean,
program.
yeah.
He started, so I followed him, right? Because like
But that's a program that's just accessible to people, right? Like, yeah, yeah. That's pretty cool.
yeah.
That you just joined a program and then got your. I mean, because you're on. You like. I mean, I know that you were very diplomatic, and I appreciate that because you're not a braggadocious person, but it is a big deal that you were, and that is exactly why you guys are doing well. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it is because you worked hard
Mm-hmm.
to get to a place that is almost like you no longer have you have the paper that says like you don't have to question it.
No, I mean that was early on, when I was 22.
And you
Was
said Santa Monica, right?
Santa Monica when I was
Santa Monica College.
Santa Monica College. Yeah.
So you went to community college, then transferred.
Then transferred to UCLA.
Oh,
So before I even transferred to UCLA, I was already like showing works. Like Cheech Marine collected my work,
oh, okay.
and early on I was like, do I need school? It's like I'm already showing places, people liking my work
When did you graduate
from.
from UCLA?
Uh, Technically, I graduated 2020.
2020. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then you took some time off after high school.
No, I just went straight to Santa Monica.
How old are you, dude? You're so grown up. I think just I measure your success and I'm like, this guy's got to be a little older. No, don't tell me you're like 15.
No. No, I think also part of me is that I grew up in Mexico,
Okay.
when
When did you come over?
I was 12.
When you were 12. That's when
Yeah.
I came to the US too.
Mm-hmm.
But from different circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What brought you over?
My parents, they were just, my mom and my dad came first,
Mm-hmm.
and then they brought my sister, and then they asked me if I wanted to come, and at the time I was like, sure. And also I think the lifestyle. So I was born in Mexico City, but then when my parents came to the U.S., they left us with my grandma who lives in Puebla. So I also grew up in Puebla. So I also grew up in the city and also grew up in a small
Okay.
village. So I always talk about this as like it's having those two experiences, 6 years and 6 years, and then coming to the US was it's like a whole different
Different world.
different world, because obviously when you go to
The U.S. is obviously more like Puebla.
nah, it's like Mexico City,
I'm
it's
kidding.
like
De broma.
oh yeah. No, I mean like in Puebla, you really have to like if you wanted to like make a meal or something, you had to
Make it yourself.
make it yourself, but also like make leña. You have to make a fire pit.
Oh, okay.
So like that's kind of like
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different lifestyle.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So like honestly, like all those little experiences, and then coming to the U.S., getting into skateboarding and doing.
You're a skater?
I used to.
You used to,
Not anymore.
Yeah.
But that's actually how
I think that's also why I thought you were much older.
But that's how also like I learned how to like a little bit how to talk English because in skating there's like not much of a like in order to communicate you have to do tricks. So it's not so much of like like we have to like talk and and then but then that's how you learn like and so I feel like that was sort of my entry of like to the US culture was like skating.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sports are good like that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're good at a sport and people are like, yay.
Yeah. And I feel like also I learned that I like to be competitive.
Oh yeah, I get that from you. Not for any reason in particular, but I can sniff us out.
I don't know. It just
Well, no, I think it also has to do with the hambre of like of the career.
Oh yeah,
you're very career minded, which I respect. I'm not saying
Yeah.
that like in any way
Oh,
other
no.
than adoration.
No,
And, but I think that is it's interesting because it sounds like you've gotten some good mentorship because no one really knows how to do this unless someone really helps you. So it sounds like this gentleman and Ola are actually like maybe you should enroll your kids in Ola and they might go to UCLA.
Right.
It's not a guarantee. But
no, I think it's also like I think I was talking to my friend early this week and we talked about how sometimes when you come from a family that doesn't have anything. There is also like this idea of how do we break the cycle of property,
Yeah.
And it's hard, especially when you come from a third world.
Yeah. Well, I think Raul Balthazar was talking a little bit about the same kind of coming from those perspectives. I think he's from El Sereno, but also just that like there is a hustle mind that maybe somebody that had a little bit more privilege just takes money for granted, doesn't necessarily feel like they need to come up with a 5-year plan or whatever, which I definitely have those people on the show too. There's nothing against them. Like that's not to throw shade, but I just think that, like to be commercially minded and be career minded like that is, I do see what you're saying, that coming from a third world country, of course, it's like KRS-One, the rapper. He's like, he would say that if him losing a battle meant that he wasn't going to eat, no one was going to beat him, Did I say that right? Did that make sense? I'll say it again just in case. You can't battle someone that is dependent on the money from the battle to eat, and you're just not going to beat that person that's that hungry. I'm sure if you Google that clip, it's so much more concise, so much more profound, because it's not my experience and I can't repeat it. But
right.
But yeah, I get that. I totally get that. And like I think that it definitely feels talking to you that it's well earned, just because you're a very classy guy. You're very elegant. Whenever I see you at places, you're always introducing people to people, which is like that's how the game is played.
Yeah, I mean, I think like I think people know me that if I'm whoever I'm with, I always like to make them comfortable.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Es una cosa muy latina también.
Yeah, because I've been in situations where, like, yeah, you sometimes like that other person just there, and they don't introduce you, and you
Yeah.
kind of have to be like, do I introduce myself? You know, and it's always kind of like awkward, and I don't know. It's
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you could. What I mean is that like you can definitely tell that you're comfortable in that element. A lot of people. Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think the day that I saw you, I was telling you that I was like, I'm just here because it's Gozia's thing. I'm not really in the vibe because you told me that there was something else. I don't know if you invited me. I don't want to.
yeah.
But I was like, yeah, I don't feel really social. But yeah, like I that when you're in that mood, it'll drain you, but it can be really fun too. You know, you're just like, oh shit, I haven't seen you. Like the night that we saw Gozia was really fun.
Yeah. That was really fun.
And he's also good at introducing people. Like I literally was like, hey, I want to meet that person, the painter that did this. I was like, yeah, cool. So thank you, Gozia. Made me feel valid, like like I'm not some weirdo.
Yeah. No. That's. I mean.
So then, what else? What have you learned? Like, what was the process of going like a program like that? That like it does seem like it. Like, what was UCLA like?
I think UCLA it was a really nice experience because I definitely like coming from that background of like knowing how to make a painting or make a picture. I wanted to just learn something outside of my own comfort zone, you know. So I mean, I have taken a few classes at SMC about like a little bit what do we call it? Performance, a little bit installation, sculpture. But like at the same time, I also was interested of like, oh, let me you know, understand a little bit more of you know, not so much of a like part of me like yes I am a painter, but I feel like I'm still like I feel like I'm going sort of like going back and forward where like I have to admit it that I'm a painter, but at the same time I'm interested in other things at the same time, you know. So UCLA, because of their philosophy that they are interested of like, oh, you know, you take photography, you take a sculpture, you take new genres, you take all this, and then there's no like a one thing that you have to focus on, you know. And then obviously you work based on the ideas, and then you execute it, and you know. And for me, that was sort of like it's so different than just making a painting, you know.
So you feel like it got you a little bit more out of the traditional approach to
and
things.
also I definitely want to get out of the
Do you feel like your painting has changed?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because I definitely see that it's like there's a lot of textural stuff. And I can see how like because I've seen some of your other stuff, right, which is much more representational.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. I like when you said that clicked in my head. I was like, oh, okay, that's why I see this change. Not that I'm like super familiar with your work, but I've seen a painting or two, especially you had the slice of pizza. Was it? No, what was it?
It was it was a bread that was from Puebla, and I literally am blinking the name of it.
Oh, it's all good. But yeah. Anyway, yeah. And so then like has that changed your process in the way that you like paint? Do you like it seems like you're doing more conceptual painting, right?
Yeah. I mean I think that's also what I wanted to learn is like because you know when you learn painting there's always like a canon on it, you know. And I think a lot of the times because of my background and then I'm like I always sort of like, well, I can also like, you know, why not challenge myself and also make a conceptual painting too, you know. Like I think a lot of times there's always this idea where like especially because you're Latino, they always like they would think that you make a fucking painting of Sarape, you know. And I was like come on.
Unfortunately, I can relate with like fucking Cuban art about El Exilio, and that shit sells, unfortunately, because people relate to it. But yeah, I get the frustration with like, God, can I be more?
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's
yeah. El exilio doesn't really apply to me. Like other than that, I don't go back.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, what do you? So then, what kind of when you think of conceptual painting? Like, I'm actually not that familiar with it in terms of like what are your conceits? What are your parameters? Like you said, every style of painting has a canon. What's your canon? Like what are you narrowing down to? What are you exploring thematically? Obviously, we can't really explain the paintings because it's like hard to be like, oh, there's like but like in términos de ideas,
Yeah.
like what are you interested in now?
I think one of the interesting question that came out of UCLA that I still, I still even haven't figured out, but it's like, how do we talk about abstraction within identity,
Within identity?
within identity? Yeah.
And what are you bringing to the dialogue? What do you think? What have you discovered since then? Obviously, you said you didn't. It's hard to ask a question when you said I still don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm like sabores. Do you know what Is there like a little garlic in the recipe, or is the garlic ruin the recipe?
I think that's sort of like, I guess, part of me. Like, I'm still figuring it out. I'm still, because right now I'm also interested of like, yes, I'm interested in making this type of body work that we have behind me, but I'm also interested in working with this representation images of pan dulce, but then at the same time, I want to like kind of have that also dialogue between them too, because they're not different, in my mind, that's how I see it. But obviously, someone that doesn't know my work, obviously, going to be like, well, they're so different, But
how do you think that they're similar? How do you feel like what are they? They're both referencing what? What does Pans Dulce represent that the painting also represents? Is that a fair question, or is that not what we're talking about?
No, it's a fair question.
Okay.
Because so how I got to this point is literally I did a lot of works on my body. I had a friend who photographed me, and I used those still photo as to create images, and then those images essentially were influenced they were influencing in relationship to the paintings. So I made like a lot of times when I'm thinking of executing this particular work, I have studies where I play around with different mediums, different textures, just to explore what the things that the possibilities that can I do, and then that sort of like helps me to sort of like execute something like this, and then yes, and also I think one of the things that I enjoyed working in this process is that it does have some performative act where I do have to like I take it down from the wall, I put it down on the floor, I mix the paint, I throw it on the ground. So it does have a little bit more
like cooking
pan dulce, yeah. And then when I work with more representation, I'm literally just like this, just like my hand is just moving, but and obviously that one has a very specific subject. This one's, even though I do have the reference to what I'm making, but I'm not like, because in those essentially it's like you copying the image to the canvas, right? Here, even though I have a study that is guiding me to make it, I can still change it. It doesn't have to be to the image.
Yeah. So you feel a little bit more freedom when you're approaching these other ones.
Yeah, and also I think another thing that kind of
and just to make sense, it's just because the pan dulce one is not, but it's actually really well rendered. Like you don't think that just because we're showing the abstract stuff, the stuff is not Renaissance level. It is the prettiest pan dulce that I've seen. Unfortunately, it's not in frame, but but with that explained to the audience, I think they can understand why the more abstract stuff is freeing.
Yeah, and also like I like the layout too.
Yeah.
So it's the grid, and also like having multiple, because I think a lot of the times when you make a painting, I feel like you can still, like, I feel like I can just, it's just one painting, even though they're just obviously
No, it definitely
different.
does feel like a unified thing. Is this done or
No, it's
no?
not
Okay,
done. I'm still
cool.
working.
Because I see tape, and I was like, is there tension about the tape being there? So like that tape is coming off?
Yeah, it's gonna come off.
Okay,
It's
cool,
just
cool.
like I did something that allows me to kind of like keep it in place, and then I remove it. But
Yeah.
But actually, some of the 4 paintings came from my last year at UCLA. So then when as I was working on them, because I feel like even though when you finish with a project, it never finished. I feel like there's always you can always add.
Puta madre, yeah.
Yeah. So I just feel like
or you can just do it again in a different way.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man. Why can't I be original? It is funny how like you do, like, artists do have like things that just they're trapped in.
Yeah, I've been working this since 2019.
2019.
Yeah. So I started with like 3, and then I added another one. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to add 4 more.
And then you were like, this wall is pretty big. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. How, I wonder, it's always interesting that brings in the question of like parameters and stuff. And like, have you painted huge, like big, or is that?
I mean, the one that you have actually is going to be the biggest painting that I'm going to...
Which one?
The one that's just put on the wall, like the raw canvas.
I see the canvas now. Okay, there's a raw canvas. Okay, yeah, cool.
I think that's the biggest one, because I think that was 14 by 12.
So when you have a big, huge studio, you don't work this size, which is good. Taking full advantage.
I mean,
and when you work at a what's it called, frame shop, and you have access to that,
bar.
Yeah, no, and to just the amount of canvas. Those are from here, no? That linen?
It's raw canvas.
Oh, it's raw canvas.
Yeah.
I don't know what the fucking difference is. I thought raw canvas was linen.
I know.
Anyway, I should go to UCLA now. Learn this shit.
No, I didn't even learn that shit over there. They don't. I mean, also one thing at UCLA they don't teach you is like they don't teach you how to like paint. They just like talk about
the
ideas and theory and fucking these people did this shit and then like make a painting.
But they don't have like technical painting courses. I mean, I guess
you do a little bit on the first 2
years.
But I wasn't there because I was a transfer, so I started as a 3rd year. So a lot of my classes were like maybe I think I took one beginning photography because I never took photography. But the photography really has influenced a lot of my work, especially this paintings. I think the ones that we were in that show, they were photographs. They were like these bodies, and I used the sander, and then I sanded the photograph.
Yeah.
So the empty space was just the erase the part that I erased it with the sander. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. You'd have to show me pictures.
Yeah,
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that's one thing I have is like I can definitely visualize.
You can visualize stuff.
Yeah.
I smoke too much pot. So I'm like, fuck, man. Yeah.
I mean, I still remember when you were the last person and the show because you wanted to make sure, like, all right, I'm gonna choose that wall.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna put my friend there. Yeah, you were very specific too.
I was like, yeah, this seems like where it goes. Yeah, I remember. The thing is that frame was terrible and it just like kept moving out of place. So you guys were roasting me. I definitely remember that. I was like, with my little measure, I had a level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely got.
Then we were all coming, just like put it up and like, all right, we're done. And you're like, no, it has to a little bit to the right.
Yeah, you guys are art handlers, and I was just like, I'm gonna take a break.
No, Gosia, I think at the end he came like, I think he was doing his internship at our handling. Yeah. And he brought his bag, like all professional. I was like, okay,
nice.
He's the professional one.
Yeah. No, I mean, you guys are definitely professional. You and Gozier are probably the most professional. I mean, Alex is pretty professional too, but like in terms of like niñitos, niñitos bien portados.
Yeah.
Damn, dude. So are you really like 24 around that age?
No, I'm 31.
31. Okay.
Yeah.
But wait, when did you graduate high school?
I graduated high school 29, no, oh nine.
Oh, nine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then you didn't go to. How long between high school and college?
So I was in Santa Monica for between like 6 to 7 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah, because so like that's sort of like because I was already doing art and like school was like I was just doing one class, two classes.
Just to be clear, I didn't think that you were like 40 or anything.
No, it's okay.
30
No,
is
it's
about
okay.
it's about what I had you pegged at.
No, I mean, even when I was like 20, I think people were like, "Are you like 30?"
Because Gozi is young, right?
Yeah,
Gozi is like he's in his mid 20s. Maybe he's late 20s now.
Late 20s.
Yeah,
20s. Yeah.
because I met him when he was like 24. I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And that was like 2019 or some shit.
Yeah,
What was that 2018, 2019. Anyway,
yeah.
Nostalgia lane. No, it is really interesting just because, like, I think that I was gonna apply to Cal Arts. Oh yeah, sorry, not Cal Arts. I was gonna apply to UCLA, but at the time they needed a disc, and then I just flaked on the disc part, so I never applied. But I always just assumed, it's interesting to see people that actually followed through and got in.
Yeah.
I doubt I would have gotten in though. Like I did not get a lot of attention from schools at that year, which was very frustrating.
Yeah.
But I mean, I got into Cal Arts. That was about it. I applied to like that. I guess I didn't do UCLA. I forget who else I applied for.
Mm-hmm.
I blocked it out because I was like, "This is too expensive."
Funny. They do. I guess one topic that I was interested in is like education. I think the education, has been interesting. Like how, like the education that you have in Mexico and the education that is here is like they're so different in their approach.
I would also be cautious about comparing it to Mexico because you haven't gone to like a shitty school here yet.
Well, I kind of. I went to. I kind of did.
I don't say the school.
Yeah.
you don't have to. Don't say anything that I'm gonna have to edit, please.
I think in middle school, I think
people can look at your CV if they want to see what you're talking about.
Yeah, I think in middle school, I didn't care. I think I just literally they passed me from one grade to another grade.
You're talking about like just school in general.
Yeah, school in general.
No, because I was gonna say like UCLA is like a good school. Like,
no,
compared to like other colleges, I would say.
Yeah.
I would say that. Here's what I would say. I would say getting an MFA at UCLA is worth your money.
No, undergrad.
No, I'm saying even the MFA.
MFA,
like like for myself, like
for yourself, yeah.
if I got into the school, it would be worth the money.
Yeah. No, yeah.
But I think that there are other schools where I'm like, fuck off. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, no, the value return on that is not there.
No. It's crazy how I think like, and it's interesting because it's like, like someone that in Mexico graduates with a degree in art and someone here, like obviously the US their value is gonna be always
the prestige.
The prestige. And,
I was thinking about I was thinking about going to school in London, and then I was like, oh, it's not MFAs. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like I don't think that. And then around the time I decided I didn't want to teach. But for me, as I would say that getting an MFA and not teaching from UCLA is totally worth it. Like if that's not the career you want to go into, if all you want to do is make work and try to be a commercial success or whatever, whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
I don't want to say words that might trigger like an ethical like code that you have inside. Like I think it's all cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. We live in a capitalist world, guys. Deal with it, but yeah, I think it's pretty interesting. I mean, education in the US, what are your thoughts, like in general?
No, I was just saying, like, obviously, yes, going to 4 universities, like, or going to beyond that, obviously, like, there's so many, but I think early on, like, elementary school, middle school, like that really makes a difference where you go to. Because like, I feel like I never was like interested or motivated in pursuing after that. Like I honestly feel like, yes, going to finding Ola really actually they will encourage you to actually, you do have to go to some sort of program. And that's how I kind of discovered Santa Monica.
Yeah.
Sort of like that.
I didn't know Santa Monica College had such a good program.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Hot tip, guys. Like fucking for real.
Yeah. I don't know now, because a lot of the professors, faculty have left. But yeah, I mean, I had really good professors. Like,
it sounds like you're also very well aware and very informed on who is a good person to study under. Because like I've never gotten that into, who's successful in the scene, and like I'm just not that present because I didn't go to get an MFA, or and because I didn't go to like a good solid 4-year program. I mean, my program was fine, and I'm happy with what I learned, but I think being in LA is a different scene. Like, what do you think about the art world? What would you obviously have a very different path than a lot of people do? How do you feel about the LA art scene? Do you have representation? Is that something that you're pursuing? Where are you in terms of like what you're doing next? What are your next steps?
Yeah, my next step is definitely to go to get my MFA. I think going back to your question about like what I asked myself of the whole idea of like, how do I talk about my work? Like, I feel like one thing for sure that you said, like, did give me the space and time to think about what I wanted, the things that I'm interested. Right now I feel like, because I'm so like have a full-time job and I'm like, trying to do my work and then trying to be social. It's like, you don't have that amount of time to actually do. I think another professor mentioned is like, because like you can paint, I mean, but at the same time you also want to do like your research. You just don't want to just make anything. And I think that's what happened with UCLA. Is like getting from there is like, okay, I feel like for the few months I was having trouble what to make, because I was so ingrained about like, well, you choose, okay, if I'm choosing this thing, this material, like why am I choosing it? Or like, if you're gonna make this painting that's like this tall, like you have to consider all these questions. And I feel like I was so like, I need a little break from that.
So they weren't driving you on those questions at UCLA so much?
No, they were. But then I think after college, those questions are still hunting me. So a lot of the time, like, in order to, like, I feel like I always have to, like, before I make something, I have to like literally go through those questions.
Yeah,
it's kind of weird.
Seems fair. Yeah.
But then at the same time, it's just like, it just makes, obviously I'm thinking about it. Thinking about what's going on.
Yeah, I think I relate to that, and I think I started painting because I'm not so bound by the rules of painting.
Yeah.
So, like, I get that. It is hard to. I mean, that's one of the things that I realized that I wasn't a photographer. Like, I'm not a straight documentary style photographer. I'm an artist using photography.
Yeah.
Because that, I just like it, otherwise. If I follow all the photography rules, I can't make art. Right.
No, I mean, same. I that's what I like about photography and sculptures, that I use those elements. But I'm not, I think a lot of people were, when I started making those photographies, they were like, you're not a photographer because you like fucking scrape the whole shit of it. Well, that's...
Yeah, no, I mean...
That's the whole point of it. Like, that's what I wanted. I talked about erasure, so like, there it is.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it just with a still image.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and I'm with you on that, like, because it is such a restrictive medium for sure, and then but I think that in terms of checking off all the boxes that you mentioned for painting, with like the materials and stuff, I think defacing a photograph is like a pretty intense thing to do. Like you're like, think about ripping a photograph, right? Like, that seems pretty harsh. That's
I mean, it's kind of
maldito cabrón.
And people were like, "Why they what?" And I'm like,
yeah, it's a precious object, and if you're handling it a little rough, like there's something there. Yeah,
I'm not attached to my work.
So
no.
Yeah,
fuck this.
I feel like I haven't been attached enough. I think I've just been kind of fucking around too much, but. that's everybody has their own like
Yeah.
inner struggle with where they need to go, and that's why it's always good to talk to artists and that's why I fucking surround myself with them, enough for one a week, just so that I can like get perspectives. It is really easy to get just sucked into your own like bubble of one. Right?
I mean, I talk to, no offense to painters, but sometimes they're like, they get stuck in something like about the thing, and I'm like, okay, like I want to hear other things, like not so much of like,
painters are a little hard to talk to about.
Well, where should use to make that mark? Like I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
So I mean.
So you're not a Clement Greenbergian painter? No. There's too much texture.
It's not so much about the medium,
Yeah, I mean, but you do love painting.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I mean, that's like, that is like, that's something like that I cannot escape. That's something that's just like,
it haunts you in your dreams.
It haunts me I mean, I haven't done still lifes like after like, it's been like maybe 7 years. So like it's kind of nice to go back and
it is nice to like fucking whip out those skills that you haven't used.
Yeah, no, I feel honestly I feel like I'm also like I'm pretty like I pretty have a set my skills.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, and then I think
sin pena.
I think
you can talk about being a badass at a skill, because that I encourage that, and I agree. I know what it's like to just kind of be like, holy shit, I can still do it, but also know that I can still do it, and do it with a deadline, and just be like, I only need a couple hours.
Right.
Do it like I did it in college, dog.
Right. I think also what encouraged me, the professor was like, he's like, who cares? Like, if you do this body work and then you make this other body work, like it's the same. And I like that shit. I was like, you know what? Yeah. Like, why can't I like? Just because I make abstract paintings, I don't have to just make abstract paintings. I can also make a fucking beautiful painting.
Yeah.
So like this sort of like just like it blew my mind.
I also like that you give away the fact that you think that realist paintings is more beautiful. You're like, I don't only have to make abstract paintings; I can make beautiful paintings.
Well, no, I mean, if I have to,
I get what you're saying. Yeah. I get this.
But I like that
No, I get that, because that's like more commonly like impressive to people.
Yeah, I mean,
like when people look at that, they'll be like, "Oh shit, you're a good painter," whereas an ignorant person might not understand. And ignorant not as an insult, but like if as a term of describing someone who's uneducated.
Yeah.
They may not understand that there is like a lot of thought and stuff there that might not. I get why you said beautiful painting.
Yeah.
I was just busting your balls.
No, it's all good. No, but that's also, I guess, early on, like talking about color arts. Well, not that I mentioned them, but when you do your college, when you're applying for different universities and you have to take your portfolio, and early on, I was making paintings of the Pan Dulce, and I went to the portfolio review. A lot of schools were like, "Oh, awesome! You have a good, solid portfolio." And the school, they're like, "I think they're nice. Actually, they're beautiful paintings, but they're like, we need to see more exploration.
Yeah.
Then we need to see a little more." And I was kind of like confused, because I was I'm young. I'm still kind of trying to understand what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, and you're like, it looks good, man. It looks right. It looks like the thing.
It looks like the thing. What
do you want from me, bro? I'm a technically gifted painter.
Right. But then I understood it later on what she was talking about.
Yeah.
But then it's interesting how you're talking about how the art world, things have changed. It's interesting how, like, obviously now you see a lot of representation of paintings. You know, and it's like, it's kind of, I always wonder.
That was always gonna happen.
And I know, like, I was gonna like, it's like, man, whoever that person reviewed my work is like, so if I would have, it's always sort of like, if I'll go back and be like, you told me to do this, but then like, look what people are doing.
Yeah.
It's like,
no, I mean, that is the problem with education, like inherent in a creative education. And I've been on the show pretty upset about my education, but then I realized there was like really only a couple classes that really ruined the whole experience for me, and like a couple really sour relationships with people. with professors in particular, and it is amazing to me how like a good experience in school versus a bad experience in school can like really affect. Like I hadn't thought about this person in a long time, and then I thought about her, and I was like angry, and I was like, oh my god, this anger has been here for so long. Like someone was trying to gatekeep my art making in this really mean and vicious way, where like I couldn't even speak in my class without my teacher rolling her eyes at me, and all of my associates like kind of like cringing, like all of my peers. It's crazy. Anyway, but I'm trying to be a little bit more, now that I've realized and pinpointed that was the issue, I'm trying to be a little bit more like, oh, you know what? Education is cool. But like, yeah, I mean, something like that's kind of one of the things that's crazy about it. Like, I feel like I'm hesitant about school because of those experiences, you know, but I'm happy that you've had, like, it's healing for me to hear that you've had a great one.
Yeah,
like that that you've been supported and encouraged, you know, and vicariously I feel supported.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also at the same time, you know, I think with the art scene, I feel like another thing that happens is like they always want to label you. Like you this category, you like this, you make this kind of work, so your work is like labeled as this. And I always find it interesting when people try to like label me a certain thing, and I'm like,
what labels have people put on you? This is fun.
Like
Chicano artist.
Yeah, no.
Visionary, abstract Chicano artist. Do you identify as Chicano? Because I think Raul was saying that it was like more of a, on his episode, Raul was saying that Balthazar was saying that it was more of like a political identity.
Yeah.
So do you, is that an identity you take up or no?
No, I don't take that. I mean,
you were born in Mexico.
I was born in Mexico, right? There
different.
It is. But at the same time, it's also like Chito America has my works and the Chito collection of Chicano art. So it's like,
I would take that though. Cheech, you can make me a Chicano even though I'm definitely not.
But it's I always find it really interesting. Also, like with the whole Latinx thing, you know,
I mean, you do it. I've done it. I've criticized that whole concept. It's a white people concept. You can tell because, like, okay, history.
Yeah.
Her story. Historia.
Yeah.
Historia is a feminine word, so like. Yeah. It just doesn't make sense.
No, I mean that's the I think another thing that is like.
Are we gonna rally against the liberals of the art world? No, I'm
right.
kidding. Not that we're Republicans.
Nah. No, but I think it's good to raise questions and sort of like, because it's like it's like, why don't we do it with white people, you know?
No, and it comes from a white savior standpoint. That's what I find annoying about liberals, right? Like during the recent election, like I don't have like I'm lefter than most liberals, right? And so I think that there really is like a thing of like, oh, think about the minorities and all of that, you know, and I'm like, that's not how most Mexicans identify.
Right.
You know, like los pobres, los vulnerables. No,
right. No, I mean, that's another thing, you know, I think also that I have seen, and it's like los pobrecitos, you know.
Sí. NPR is very much like pobrecito porn.
Yeah, and I have used it early on because I do come from, and we just talked about where I come from. Yeah, so I do have used it early on, obviously for applying for school, you know, because my story,
it sells
it. I was telling that, you know, where I came from, you know, but nowadays, you know, you have different generations that try to use some down the line something like that, and I'm kind of like, but you're American.
Yeah, and I get weird about policing any of that shit because it's like I mean. There's a lot of people that are like, it can be so hard to identify with Latinidad. In especially like when you're paler complexion, like la gente se ponen un poco, like white people police that shit a lot. Yeah. They're like, oh, but you're white. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. I'm aware. but you're not listening to what I'm saying. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's interesting. And then, but I think that the other side of it is like, it's like, I don't get to be brown because I'm too white, and and I have to acknowledge all of the privileges that comes with living in the U.S., right? But then you're pobrecito.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're indigenous,
Yeah.
you know? And it's like, it's not that clear cut, especially in Cuban politics, you know? And in Cuban, my family's Cuban for a very long time.
Yeah.
So it's like, Cuba's like racist as fuck too. Right? Like, yeah. But
there's also kind of like this idea where like
Mexicans are racist, bro.
no, yeah, no.
Mexican, yeah. Sorry, go.
I was just gonna say like that. Also, different times, you know, like this. I mean, people either where they were like con Fidel Castro or after Fidel Castro, or people that benefit. So like, there's also like all that.
Yeah, and you know, like la política cubana is something that I don't want to get into because that shit is such a nightmare. But it involves spies and stuff like that. My mom dated a spy. I've said this before. My mom dated a guy when my parents like kind of broke up for a little while, and she dated this guy, and he turned out to be a spy at my college at FIU.
Wow.
And he was taking like kids to be indoctrinated in Cuba, whatever the fuck that means.
Yeah.
But he was taking kids on trips, and then they got arrested. They went to fucking jail. It's like, it's a really weird, like, you know. But like, and then it's just funny, like that like white perspective of like, I get it. Yeah. Now, do you find that? I mean, because the art world is a pretty white space.
Oh yeah, I mean, UCLA, like, yeah, it's like 20% color and the rest, you know.
Wasn't there that woman that got kicked out of UCLA for complaining about how many Asians there were there?
Oh, who's that?
Oh, this was a long time ago. This was like 10 years ago. There was a woman who was like, they're everywhere. It's just like...
No, but it's also interesting. Like, I think as Latinos, I think we're so complex because it's like, yeah, you said it, like, you know, somos de diferentes, venimos de diferentes espacios, unos son de aquí, otros son del Caribe, otros son de Centroamérica, otros son de, you know, de México.
One of the things that made me question a lot of the stuff that I heard growing up about El Exilio was talking to other Latinos who were like, no, Castro's good, Che's good, you know, because to my family they weren't, but like then you start to realize like, okay, there's like it's a complex situation, you know, and there are some good things like healthcare and stuff like that, but you know, también nos peleamos entre nosotros, which is fine. Yeah. But I think what really annoys me about sort of that, there is like it's back to that piece. There's the erasure of like you're only white. You know, it doesn't matter that there's a whole half of your family that doesn't have passports and you're never gonna meet. Right. You know, like all of these things. You're from a third world country. You're you know, like you I bet you people treat you differently than other people. You know, like you're a special Mexican. No. I mean, because I've had that happen to me as a Cuban. It's like we're in Florida. White people don't like Cubans. Really? You know, yeah, because it's like we took all of Miami, and when like my parents had a horrible time. Pero yeah, entonces, so to me, all that shit is funny. Pero, yeah. So, I mean, am I projecting on you? Has anybody treated you like that, or is that just me putting my experience on you?
No, I mean, I have gotten like just different condescensions. Yeah. Yeah, I think also what's always interesting is that obviously when, you know, we're here, like I dress like this, and then when I work, like I literally have paint everywhere, you know. And I think it's always interesting that I've gotten like to, let's say, pick up food, and then the person, the cashier, asked me to say, "Hey, so I was painting this wall, and what kind of paint do you recommend?" You know, and I'm like,
motherfucker, I'm an artist.
I was like, I'm not a painter, like no, don't.
Pero es un Latino que that's asking you that, or
Yeah,
yeah.
And I was like, it's like
Yeah.
it's cool, and I've gotten all sorts of names and people, but I don't let that que se me mete en la cabeza.
Yeah.
I don't.
No, it's mostly funny. That like the level of racism that I mean that at least that I experienced. Like I remember when I was in college, I met these guys from the West Coast, and they kept calling me a lazy Mexican, and I was like, oh, okay, I see where you guys are coming from, and but it is a funny thing to get lumped in everybody together, and to like, oh, they're lazy. Why? Because we take a siesta. No, we're efficient, bro.
Yeah. The other one that's always interesting, I don't know if this happens to you, is that when you at a party and then the people that are making the food and they ask you, oh, like you have to be thankful for God, blah blah, and then you're like, well, like why? I'm not, and then like you go at it with them too, and then just like I just say that I don't believe it, and then just like what, and they just drop it on you, but you blah blah, and then I'm like, oh, this is where it goes. And then another one is with every time I get onto an Uber, everybody asks me, it's like, do you know what the meaning of your name?
Emmanuel?
Yeah.
What is the meaning of your name?
I think it's God is with us.
And where are people from? Are these people from where? That are
oh no, these people are literally more from like
Latinos, Árabes.
Everybody. Like,
everybody just
everybody. Yeah.
So they're just like really biblical.
Yeah.
Biblical
so like obviously, because I think Emmanuel was one of the names of God. Yeah.
Yeah. No, Vittorio Emanuele is the king that unified Italy. So he was a big person, and then when Mussolini came to power, he confronted them and was like, "Fuck you, we want power." And then when he fucked up, Vittorio Emanuele was like, "You gotta go," and he ceded power back to the monarch. Yeah, it's crazy. I've been reading up a little bit about that. Nice. But yeah, man, esa vaina is crazy. There is like it's an interesting world to be. I find the art world interesting because there's a lot of good, well-meaning people that have very weird beliefs that come up. You know what I mean? Like just little things where you're like, oh, that's how you think of me.
No, I mean, I if people want to think that I'm like whatever, like I'm like.
So then you just do you make a point not to make Chicano art, or?
I think a lot of the works that I have done,
or like Mexican, I mean, pan dulce is pretty.
Yeah,
is pretty Mexicano, right?
Yeah.
So then,
I mean, I have definitely done.
Is it when you do the abstract stuff that you feel like maybe people are pigeonholing you because they don't let you, or?
Well, in sort of like a retrospect, I have done political stuff. Like I have done posters. I have done like things that are very specific to what I'm trying to say.
Like what kind of stuff are you trying to say?
I think when Trump I think got elected, because I also I'm a quote unquote I'm documented, so a lot of the times
maybe it doesn't say.
Okay.
I don't want to get you. I don't want to get you in trouble. Yeah, quote unquote nada.
Nada.
Yeah. Anyway, but can you tell the story without that? You can tell the story of the Trump painting.
Yeah.
Maybe like I have family, or something, or like
I think that's part of like the.
I just don't want to get you in trouble.
Oh, I don't care.
You don't care?
No, I don't care.
That's my only concern. I don't want you to say it and put it on YouTube and then like you get deported. That would feel awful.
Oh no! You're good. You're good.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Okay.
You're good. Yeah. I mean, I'm good. I have the fucking Dream Mac. So that
Oh, so
protects me. Yeah,
you're fine.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah. I'm
okay.
fine. Yeah.
All right, so then go. Sorry.
Yeah, so like when obviously as a student, you're frustrated because a lot of the times, I came when I was young. I was 12, and so ever since then, like I have been quote unquote a good citizen. I know your language, I know your history, I've gone to your schools, and
It's not my history. It's ours. You're American now. It's your shit too, buddy.
So like it's kind of not fair, when they're like this other guy is like, you know what, I'm gonna take away this what Obama established.
Yeah, the
and
Dream
then
Act.
the Dream Act, right? And I'm like, fuck you,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna make this poster where I had I blinking on the name where the reference I got it from, early political, where like Trump, I made him he eating a lot of shit that these three guys are shitting, and he's like fucking eating the shit.
Come mierda.
Yeah, come mierda. So that's literally kind of things that I have done on the past. Also,
this was before or after UCLA? This was before.
Yeah, before UCLA.
Like
yeah,
2016.
Before UCLA,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah. Have you done anything political like that, or you're?
No, I haven't done anything. It's just like too much.
There's not enough Trump anger anymore.
Yeah, no, I think there's always, but I feel like I think I can always take it on this stuff. Yeah, and but I think it's not so much whether I label myself, but it's like as much of like when people identify you. I think that's I think what happens is that like whether you want it or not, people are always gonna do it,
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like a lot of the times when someone puts a show and then they label it and then and they talk about it and you're like,
are you? I get that. Are you writing about the fact that I'm Latino because it makes you look better that you're reviewing a person that's Latino? Know, like because I do see that being. It's interesting.
And also a lot of times early on, I think I've been surrounded by so many amazing artists that I love hearing their perspective, and also at the end of the day, honestly, I just want to create. I just want to make work. I want to create without any fucking labels, without any why. Like I think I don't know, for Latinos, I feel like we always have to carry that weight on it. I don't know.
No, I mean it is definitely a label that carries a lot of stuff, and then it's a baggage for sure,
Mm-hmm.
And like for example, when people find out that I'm Cuban,
Mm-hmm.
they assume so many things about me being right wing.
Yeah,
and it's like it does hurt. I have talked about this before, but I realized that I was like I realized the programming of Islamophobia that came from the war when I moved out here.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the biggest population of Tehrannians, or this is the biggest of Iranians outside of Tehran. I think it might even be more. But it's like I got so identified as Middle Eastern to a degree that it happened in DC a little bit as I was younger and stuff. And it would annoy me because I'm like, no, yo soy Latino. So it's funny, like it's funny to hate being pigeonholed, and then it's also funny to be like, no, I'm not that.
Yeah.
But like since then I've learned that like, oh, Iranians are very handsome. And so no, I mean and I've learned a lot. Like I've learned a lot about the culture and what we've done to it, and I'm like, oh yeah, like it's just Latin America. And, like the Middle East is literally just Latin America with more oil and better resources.
Yeah.
Anyway,
any
parting thoughts? Anything that I haven't asked you about? This is how I like to. It's how I like to end. That to give you an opportunity so that when you wake up tomorrow, you're like, oh, I should have said that. So if I didn't ask you something, but that you wanted to talk about, I'm happy to.
No, I think it is important to have this dialogues. I think also early on, like I think what was also really interesting is that like I said, I don't care how. I mean, especially now with online and everything. Like it's everything that you can find about this person is online. So it's not like. But
you sound like someone who stalks someone. No, you can find anything about anyone. No, I'm kidding. No, you don't sound like a creep. I made it weird. No, but I get what
you're not gonna find this for sure. What I'm gonna tell you that is like, because it's something that we don't talk about, but it's like a lot of times, like, when you go to different parties of dinners and everyone loves to talk about where they come from and what and obviously people look at you, they're not so interested, like, oh, where are you from, or like, who are your parents and all this, like, do you have fucking legacy, like, and obviously I don't, because where I came from, I never was like, I don't know if there's nothing in there, right? It's kind of like, oh, well, I know I'm this and this and this, but it's like I never have done more in-depth research.
Yeah.
Until I was more curious about, literally like 2 days ago, and I called my mom and I was asking her, oh, so, I know this is gonna sound weird, but it's like, was my grandma, like, well, I first asked her, like, how old is my grandfather, and she's like 97, and I was like, oh wow. And I was like, well, how old that my grandma died, and she's like, well, she was 70, like in her 70s. I'm like, oh, and I was like, what kind of language do they speak?
What do they speak?
And she's like, well, your grandfather, both of them speak Nahuatl.
Nahuatl?
Mm-hmm.
What's that? That's
like
indigenous?
That's one of the indigenous Aztecs.
Aztec language.
Language. I was like, oh, that's cool. And I asked her, and I'm like, oh, so, and then I was like, so my abuelito hablas español, and she's like, well, he only speaks a little bit. And I'm like, what about my grandma? She's like, your grandma never learned Spanish. And I was like, and I never knew this.
Wow, that's
and
crazy.
I was like, what? And I went into like a little rant. I was like, but you don't understand. That's so fucking badass.
Yeah, no, that is crazy.
and then she's like, oh, like she kind of just like brushed it off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you don't understand.
Yeah.
Like that's so cool. Like that.
But I can see from their perspective the internalized sort of thing. Like, yeah. My brother has accused my father of wanting to hide that we're like Jewish somewhere down the line. And I don't know how to investigate it, because according to my brother, there's like anyway, our grandfather's name is Israel, and today I was talking to my mom, and my mom was like, he said that your dad says that it's from a novela, because I was like, I was like trying to figure out, do Christians call themselves, like, is that a name that is Israel?
I think so. Israel,
okay.
No?
Israel?
Yeah.
Okay. No, then I guess I'm not. Well, okay, we settled it, guys. I'm not, but it,
but it's kind of, it does have like a very religious,
Yeah, no, Israel. White people call themselves Enoch and other biblical names, but no one. I guess maybe Israel just came out of favor as a biblical name after Israel was established. That makes sense. But anyway, yeah. Pero a mí me dicen judío también, and in the bad way too.
Oh wow.
So like, so it's interesting.
I mean, honestamente, para mí, allá cuando estábamos en México, so knowing that also, my mom side, they're more like españoles y europeos.
Yeah.
Entonces, ellos siempre los llamaban nosotros indios.
Sí. Yeah, no, and that's what I was saying. Like, Mexicans are racist as shit.
Oh yeah, no. I mean,
like it's not just black people that like lighter skin. Black people, like there's some nasty shit.
Yeah.
And so in that sense, I acknowledge my white privilege, guys. I also have passport privilege.
No, but also, so like, even like I think it's always interesting to we all carry that privilege to in some shade of form,
What kind of privilege?
The privilege is also like obviously the whether you light skin or not. Anybody can be a fucking racist.
Yeah.
or whatever color you are.
Yeah, no. I mean, yeah, that's what the fucking Holocaust was about.
Yeah.
Right? Because now we consider Jewish people white, but like they didn't.
Right. They did. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I would say that Jewish people have every right to be white if they want to be, to be considered white.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I can't say that about every black person can be white if they want to be. No, that's not how it works out here. Just you say something and you think about it, you're like, fuck, man, I'm an idiot. No, man. Well, you are I consider you someone that is my friend, even though I invited you fucking years ago to be on this show, and you blew me off, and then and then
you put it on the camera now.
Yeah.
Put it on the record.
Yeah,
just on the record.
Just on the record. I've been on his ass before he was in UCLA and had his clout, okay? Yeah, when I was probably hitting you up when you were at Santa Monica College.
No, I was at UCLA.
UCLA? Okay.
Like,
I've always been a clout chaser.
No, it's good. That's good. I feel like early on, I thought about it, and also I think whether even though I do come out have like somehow I have my shit together, but
was that the sentence you expected?
But I sometimes I do feel like I don't know, I can become a little like somehow, I don't know, this happens where like como no sé nada, like I feel like I don't know what to, like I don't know what to offer to them, sometimes I feel like, well, but
what would I add to the show?
Yeah, what would I add to the show?
No,
like essentially that's what happened. Also, like I like the titles. I also like the title. So it's like I don't know nothing. Like I feel like I don't. What knowledge can I provide? I feel like that really just like it just kind of like
messed you up.
Yeah, messed me up. And I felt like I didn't know how to reply to you. It was like.
It's okay.
I don't know what to say.
I was not like, I'm not upset about it because we did it. Obviously, I'm just saying that I've been working on this. Yeah. This is an accomplishment, getting you on camera.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. I'm glad. I feel like I was talking to Alex.
Yeah.
And I was like, bro, I think I'm ready. I think I can say some stuff. I don't know what, but I can say some stuff.
Well, I mean, I think that you have a pretty interesting perspective because you're somebody that's been plugging away and has success that is traceable into the future, and I think that it's well deserved. And I think it's cool that we're friends.
Yeah.
As a coincidence, but in light of that, I wanted to ask you. I'm happy asking you about that stuff because it's like I said, I have my hangups, and it's probably time for me to move on from them because they're not serving me. Maybe you can convince me to go to school. But only UCLA. Their studios are dope. I keep almost asking you if you had the graduate studios in Culver City, but I used to live right next to them.
Yeah.
So I would go over every time they had the open studios. And that campus is it's like hard not to feel like you're a special person if you're going to that like campus in Westwood.
Oh yeah, I mean,
is that where most of your classes were?
Yeah.
That shit, like I used to go to therapy there because they had the psychology program gives like training like to their MFA candidates.
Yeah.
And so it's like they charge on a sliding scale. So I would go over there, and it was just like part of the charm was just being on that campus and being like.
No, when I was doing my undergrad, I feel like it was beautiful. Like if like UCLA, the West Side has its own fucking bubble. Like I feel like everything's pretty, everything like you feel like an intellectual just walking with your books, and
it's like fucking like what you picture Ivy League education, like Oxford-y. Yeah. It's all that brick. It's
it even reminds me like I don't know if you've seen that movie Beautiful Mind.
Yeah, like, totally, 100%.
That's like
that's
that sort
vibe.
of like that, and
institution of higher learning,
But then it's like I always find it interesting, like at night when I finish with everything, and I would come home like around 10, I would take an Uber or the bus, and I like come this side, and it's like, okay, welcome to the real world.
Yeah. No. It is a completely, and it's funny as you go, if you take a walk around those houses, like you can tell that like they're really nice houses and they're fucking trashed by students.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's really cool. I think that in terms of like you know, I know that is there a strike or something with the UC system? I want to maybe acknowledge that. Yeah. So,
Yeah, there is.
So
Right
it's
now.
not.
There's right now going.
Not everything is perfect at UCLA, but
No.
it's pretty chill, and I think it's congratulations. It's nice to see friends of yours like go to a program, come out of it, and then they're like on fire. You know, like it inspires ambition and and a sense of justice in the world because you guys are actually really talented artists. I like the work. I like Gozier's work. Well, Gozier's shit is pretty dope. The trumpet stuff that I didn't see at the Inlu show.
Yeah.
God damn, Gozier, you got shouted out a lot this episode.
No, so I mean, I know Gozier, like we go way back when, like I still remember he's was into graphic design.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was into.
He's a really sweet guy. Like he's the guy that you could tell why women are always around him. Like it's not like there are handsome dudes out in the world, but they don't always have like, you know, it's not just that he's handsome. He's just a chill dude. So like this, every time you see him, he's like you're like, oh my God, if I was younger, goes, yeah. That's the only problem. They're too young for me. But I'm like, good job, bro. I'm going to clip this and send it right to him. All right, man. Anything else we want to talk about before we start wrapping up? I don't want to make sure, like, I don't want to end it, but I also, I also don't want to, make you stay too long.
No, I think we pretty much.
I'll probably have you back. I mean, the more successful you get, the more the more I'll have you on the show. No, I'm kidding.
No, I'm just really like give a shout out to all the people that I'm always surrounded. Los artistas que siempre te apoyan, siempre están ahí.
Yeah, and you, I mean, one of the things that's nice about your job is that every time I see you, you're at least with one person from work, so you don't hate each other.
Somebody or
But yeah, anything that we can promote? Do you have any shows coming up? When are you going to UCLA so we can all celebrate it? Wait, what are you trying to go back to UCLA for MFA or where?
Well, at UCLA, if you come out of undergrad, you have to apply somewhere else.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Honestly, right now, what I'm trying to do is just trying to make as much work as I can. Trying to do like obviously build a body of work and also a show. So I think COVID definitely hit me hard. I mean, something that we didn't talk about it, but also
you got sick or lockdown.
I think it was more mentally.
Yeah. Dude, we all had to confront ourselves. That's why everybody started
mine was a little different. My brother got deported. So,
I'm so sorry.
That's that kind of. And that was during pandemic.
Yeah.
And I mean, I can talk about the immigration system, like because and so that happened, and then later on something else happened. It's just like, it was kind of like I was like, wow, like I sometimes you can't concentrate like in your stuff, and then you still have to do with this whole COVID thing. It was kind of like a little bit too much. But now I feel like I kind of feel like I can breathe. I can actually smell the air, and I can,
That me too, man. I couldn't even really do the show because it's like it's not fun to sit and watch each other talking on cameras.
On Zoom.
Yeah. I feel bad. I feel so bad for everybody that's only been on the show on Zoom because that was like the worst era of the show. I mean, go back and listen to them; they're great. No, in terms of feeling like like if I come in here and I'm sitting with you, like I feel like I've gotten to know you a little bit better. We've never sat down and talked for this long. No. But when it's like, I felt like it was hard to give people space and to hear people like Zoom. It was the same thing as like when you're at a meeting, a Zoom meeting. You know, it's not as good as a real meeting in person where your boss is there and smells you and can tell that you've been drinking. I don't know what fantasy this is, but cool, man. All right, so then, so you're thinking about going back to grad school?
Going back to grad school.
Where can people see your work? They can see it on your Instagram. For sure. And then, do you have a website?
No, I don't have a website.
So you're Emmanuel Galvez?
I think it's
Galvez Emmanuel?
reverse. Galvez Emmanuel.
Yeah. And then after the show, you're going to give me some beard grooming tips because your fucking beard is always impeccable. I never see a drop of this guy has no dandruff. No fucking beard dandruff. I don't know what the fuck he does.
A lot of work. No, I actually...
He's wearing black right now.
Nothing, right?
Nothing.
No, yeah.
Look.
I mean, one of the things...
We don't have to do it on air. I don't think anyone cares about the beard. You can talk about anything, though.
No, it's just like, you know, like I think if, whatever, you know...
Le pones aceite?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, they have... I mean, honestly, nowadays, it's like you can find...
I can tell you go to a barber because that line is so tight.
Oh, no. I just went yesterday, you know. Yeah. Because I needed to get nice and...
I'm going to have to do that crispy. So that I can have ladies around because I think that a good, well-maintained beard... will make me a little bit more Gauzier-like instead of just having this like dandruff that just like anyway we'll end on that and thank you guys for checking out the show. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for enjoying it. I'm glad that we got you off the laptop. And
we'll definitely have Yandere in the background.
And we'll be back next week with another guest and another topic that may or may not be art related. This one was really art related, so yay us. Art podcast where artists don't talk about art half the time. I designed it that way.
Thank you for inviting me.
Es un placer. It's nice to be in your studio too, to see your pan dulces.
Yeah. I mean, you know, when you come back, definitely gonna. They're next. You know?
I know I'm gonna see you like next week or some shit. I'm gonna run into you, but I have your phone number. I'll hit me up next time you're going to something, and we can coordinate it. But pa qué no?
Yeah, pa qué no?
All right, and peace out.